Cape Town, one of the spiritual homes of the ocean race since 1973 and the gateway to the Southern Ocean. This 50th year anniversary edition of the ocean race features the biggest Southern Ocean leg of them all, an epic 12,750 nautical mile odyssey through the remotest parts of the planet to Itajaí, Brazil. The sailors will face extreme temperatures, massive waves and sleep deprivation, all while trying to keep their bodies and boats in working order. I want to find out from a sailor's perspective how you prepare for such an epic journey and how you plan for the unexpected. On board one of these boats seems like a good place to start. We talk a lot about the need to go fast in this race, but if you are going down into the Southern Ocean, one of the big things is to try and be, well, comfortable or safe, or at least be able to get a bit of rest and a bit of food. And if you had to do it, I think this is the boat that I would choose. Team Militia, we're out just practicing today before the start of the Southern Ocean leg. And being on board, you can stand up. I mean, no danger of banging my head at the moment. I've got a little space behind where actually you can find a comfortable place to sleep. What comes with this is extra structure, extra weight, and that does weigh the boat down a little bit and potentially make it a bit slow in certain conditions. But if you are looking to survive that big smash down south into the giant waves that we know are waiting for the teams, I think this is the boat to be on. In addition to the wide, high cockpit, Team Militia's boat has clearly been designed for quality of life, which could translate into crew performance. This is how they're going to sleep on the legs of the ocean race. And you can slide in here. It's pretty comfortable. And if the boat starts to heel, you can add in a little bit more. Now, that's pushing me down this way, so I can come down and actually I can get quite a comfortable sleeping position. And just for that little extra touch as well, if you want a bit of darkness, you can pull the curtain. Will Harris is co-skipper of Team Militia, and this will be his first taste of the Southern Ocean. This leg, the course for this edition of the ocean race, everyone's been talking about it being the toughest ever. The boats certainly don't help that. They're fairly extreme. And you're about to go down into the Southern Ocean. Obviously, you've got some good sailors in your team. You've got a good boat. You've got plenty of years of experience. Is there a little bit that you wonder how you're going to be able to react in that and whether you're going to be able to kind of stand up to that challenge?
I think there's definitely a bit of apprehension there. You know, it's definitely sailing into the unknown for me. I've heard so much about the Southern Ocean and so much from sailors, from being in race control in the last race.
It's a place you have to take seriously.
Yeah, there were some big scary moments in the last race, and I really don't doubt we're going to have a few in the Southern Ocean. I think there's going to be problems. We're going to have problems for sure. There's going to be moments where it's going to be tough, I think, and I guess kind of having this unknown and having not experienced this before, it's going to be. I'm thinking about that now and preparing myself mentally for it. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, it's something I've wanted to tick off my kind of bucket list for ages, is to go and do the Southern Ocean, and especially on a leg like this. You know, it's more than halfway around the world in one massive leg, 40 days. Twice as long as I've ever sailed on an offshore race before.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of first times for me, and that makes it really exciting. But I think I'll have some stories when we get to Itajaí. I think I'll have some moments or experiences that I think will be both good and both bad, and it's all going to make me a better sailor. And you know, that's kind of why I want to do this race. I find the toughest moments in these races is when the kind of unexpected happens. You know, maybe you've made a tactical choice which you think was 100% going to work and it doesn't, or you know, a sail falls in the water, or you break something, or the foil breaks. I think it's about trying to manage your emotions in these moments. It's just not letting yourself get to those low points, just accepting and saying, you know, this is part of the race. I knew that things like this were going to happen. I didn't know what it would be exactly, but it's, as much as it is tough, I enjoy it in some ways. I enjoy the remoteness. I enjoy being away, and I enjoy, for me, the thing that gets me through it a lot of the time is looking forward to the end. It makes you enjoy the small things in life afterwards. You know, that first shower, that first sleep in a bed, that first kind of bite of food which you've been missing. And I think that's a big part of why I do the racing. I enjoy overcoming the challenges of it, I think. So.
Well, stay safe, enjoy it, and we'll see you in Brazil.
Yeah, thanks very much now. Cheers.
Will Harris mentioning the little things that some of us would consider to be quite big, like food, sleep and a shower. But the Southern Ocean demands sacrifice. So I'm going to talk to somebody that knows all about the physical and psychological toll on our sailors. Going down in the Southern Ocean, what happens to the sailors? What does the Southern Ocean physically do to the sailors' bodies?
When you're sleep deprived, when you don't have enough food, when you're dehydrated, when you're physically tired, when you're mentally tired, when you just want to go home, take a shower, all that has an impact on your cognitive performance. So being able to analyze data, being able to identify indicators that can indicate performance, or tell them, oh, maybe we should jibe, maybe we should tack. All that, even the vision, the mood state, physical performance is going to be impacted by fatigue. So that's what we want to limit by giving them the right food, giving them the right training before, putting them in a good mental state and refixing things that we can fix from the left leg, to avoid all those stressors to have too much impact on their performance.
What are you in the process of doing
right
here?
So what we're doing is we're packing the food for each day.
Right.
We've done the 22 days. We've got 13 days left to do. Breakfast, snacks, fun food, I guess. Nuts, dry fruit, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
For each of the days. We want a good ratio between caloric intake and weight on board.
Okay.
So that's why we have a lot of freeze dry, because you can count 1/5 of the weight, if it is freeze dry, of an actual bag. We've got enough spares for them to, if ever there's something wrong with the boat, they can reach land.
Right.
Or if ever it goes over a couple days,
yeah,
they have enough calories to get through it.
Okay.
We do have some comfort food.
Yeah.
But
what
it's
have you
good
got?
comfort.
What have you got?
So we got the jerky.
Yeah.
We have a bit of sweets.
Right. How do you decide how many rolls of toilet paper
this
to
is
take?
This is probably one of the most important parts on board. Why did we vacuum it? Because if it gets humid or wet, you're just out of toilet paper.
Yep.
If you don't have toilet paper,
it's grim. I'm just seeing all the science that you're putting into this, and somebody had to work out, not guess, but calculate how much toilet paper to take on board.
So we go on one per day.
Right. Okay. Everyone's obviously got their little
mixing pot.
How many calories per day are you?
6 to 8,000 for the 3.
6 to 8,000 a day.
So that's 3 times a normal person.
And they won't put on any weight.
No, they actually probably lose some. So even when they're sleeping, there's always movement, and the body is always readapting to avoid the body falling over, etc. So their heart rate is never at resting heart rate. So they're always burning more calories than even someone that's resting in their bed in the hotel. So this is why it's so physically demanding, and why there's such calorie deficit.
What that must do to your stress levels, that you never get back to
we test that.
Kind of calm.
We test that with cortisol.
There's nowhere that the attention to detail and the science does not creep in.
Yeah. If you look at the last Volvo, I think the difference in distance at the end between Dongfang and Mapfre was the equivalent of 0.00001 second on a 100 meter sprint.
Yeah.
So if you're not taking into consideration human performance, you're definitely missing out. But you don't have any other sports like that that last 35 days and in such extreme conditions.
For all sorts of good reasons.
Yes, exactly. So you can't miss out on detail. Basically, for 35 days, I'm going to be waking up, checking where they're at on the tracker.
The shore crew on land may be losing sleep during racing, but that doesn't compare to the problems of sleeping offshore. Sleep has been this massive thing that we keep hearing about. Yeah. Obviously, the sailors need it. The boats don't want to let anybody sleep. So this is going to be your mattress for the Southern Ocean.
Exactly, that is a kit for one people. So on board we have 2 mattresses.
Yeah.
Because we have 2 people off watch and two people on watch.
So sharing a bed.
Exactly.
Right.
With this pillow, you have your head stopped in the middle.
Right. Okay.
Because it's
really.
It moves a lot on board, so
it's really really soft, yeah.
And we have do this one specific new one just to put here, for example, because when the boat have some hill, you are in the bank and completely compressed. So with this one, you can be very comfortable.
Yeah. How easy is it actually to sleep?
For me, it's easy to sleep. So I don't care, so I don't put plug in my ear.
You're so used to the noise.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't do it. I can't imagine doing it. You know, like what is it like knowing that, you know, in a few days you're going to go down there and that's it?
Yeah, I don't. For me, personal, I don't care about that. So, yeah, I will do with what we have on board. So I have do the one the world during the Vendée Globe is only one bean bag, and the only things I have learned during this first one the world, it was yes, next time I will take 2 sleeping bags, not only one, because the first one was completely wet.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I'm easy about that. For sure, you need food, you need water, and you need something to sleep. We don't need the TV. We don't need. Yeah, we are here for sailing and for the performance. So we need to have the little comfort we need to have.
What do you take for you?
Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. I just use WhatsApp to send some text to my friends, to my girlfriend, to my family, and that's it. But for sure, when I have a time, I prefer to pass some time to check the strategy, to check the routine.
Wow. If you were solo, you could shout, you could scream, you could cry, it would be fine.
Exactly.
Is it harder actually being in a team in some ways?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it's different because when you are solo, you have you have no pressure from each other, and you can feel alone, and you can cry, you can do what you want. But for sure, when you are with a team, it's a little bit different. So,
how many pairs of socks do you take to go through the Southern Ocean for 30 days?
For sure, that is hard to know. We are all very different. It depends, and we just need to think about the smell for the others. So probably I will take more than I expect in solo condition.
Dealing with dirty socks and clothing is part of the reality of life on board. I went to see Sam Davies for an education in offshore clothing.
The kit, keeping us comfortable and dry, is just as important as all the kind of technical kit on a boat, because if we're not performing, our boat's not going fast. Yeah. And if we're wet and miserable, and especially in the Southern Ocean, where if you do get damp and you get sores and things get infected, you could potentially end up at worst having to abandon because of an injury or a medical issue.
Right,
and so for me, that the comfort is performance and more.
You're almost certainly going to get wet every single day.
No, well that's the thing. You can't get wet every single day because
you just can't allow it.
Because you can't rinse. There's 5 of us with a very small desalinator making water, fresh water. So you never get enough fresh water to properly rinse anything. And first of all, if it's not rinsed, it will never dry. If there's any salt.
So you have to be unbelievably careful.
Maniac about staying dry.
Staying dry.
Every week I'm going to change my base layer.
Okay.
And I have everything merino's wool, which doesn't get damp and it doesn't smell. I've got a new pair of really thick wool merino socks and a new set.
One pair of socks per week.
Yeah, these boots are 2.5 sizes bigger than my feet, and they've got inner soles in, because if we're wearing dry suit, then and Gore-Tex socks, you need extra space.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than small boots, because then at the end of the Volvo race I did, the ocean race with Team STA, I couldn't feel my feet and I couldn't walk at the end of the leg because I'd squashed my feet in cold for too long.
So you never get the circulation, it never warms up, it never goes anywhere.
It took me 10 days to get my feet back. This is 2 weeks of, this is change for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I've got 2 sets of base layer, 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of pants, a pair of Gore-Tex socks. Yeah. And then I've got 1 set of thicker fleece.
What about the big blue one here?
So this is my sleeping bag. It's furry on the inside and the outside is kind of waterproof. This is a good one. This is an air suit, thin, lightweight, full dry suit. And basically you can live inside of this.
What about just the simple necessities of like going to the toilet? I mean, how does that work with 10 layers on in the freezing cold and soaking wet?
So yeah, you have to try and get your timing right. Yeah. So you either do it before you put everything on, or just when you're going off watch and everything's coming off, and try not to get caught short. And
Yeah, a
not
bit like managing
drink.
a toddler before a car journey.
And
kind of thing.
yeah, and the worst thing is when you go off watch and you just had a nice big cup of tea and you need to pee halfway through your off watch, and especially on these boats because they slam so hard that you just can't hold it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to go out and or negotiate with someone to empty a bucket over the back.
I'm guessing that when you're in that world, things like the embarrassment of going to the toilet with other people and all that, we're getting on with it? It's just life and we're immersed in it. And
It's just life, we're immersed in it. But I think to start with, especially when you get with a new crew, and
first couple of days.
I get stage fright. But the thing is, everybody does as well, and we're all different. But mostly those moments become funny, and and as long as everyone can laugh about it, then that's okay.
Does it get to a point where it feels like, I've walked this road before, or every time you go down to the Southern Ocean, is it a bit where you go, okay, just take a minute?
What I have learnt is that every time you go there, it's not the same as it was before. So you can't keep the image of the last round the world trip in your head, because that's just a massive trap to fall into. And it's better to say, oh look, I have no idea what's going to happen and what conditions we're going to have, and because there's this reputation, the Indian Ocean is really terrible, but if you make it through the Indian Ocean and it's all right, then you're like, cool, well that's done, and then you could just get nailed in the Pacific. So it's better just to be ready to deal with anything than try and imagine beforehand what it's going to be like.
You know, you are ready, you are physically fit, you've got that experience. How do you tune yourself to be in that right, thinking the right things?
In a way, you're kind of trying to make the most of every day, with the shore team to get the boat ready and us to get as much rest as possible. But also there's kind of that impatience of let's just go and get this thing done.
Have you ever gone down into the Southern Ocean and regretted going? Or is the experience of taking on that challenge always rewarding?
I think every time you go in the Southern Ocean, at some point you regret going there. And if anyone says differently, they're lying. But what you bring back, and that's the amazing thing, is that the human body is very, very good at forgetting the bad things and keeping the amazing memories. And there are so many amazing things about going there, and the sailing is just fantastic. What we see is amazing. It's a privilege to go and cross be in a place where people hardly ever go. There's so many amazing things about doing that remote Southern Ocean leg that. Yeah, the moments you say, why on earth did I say yes to that? There will be, and at the time they're tough to get through, but when you get to the end, it's just you're so glad you did it, and that's what's amazing about what we do.
Well, Southern Ocean is going to be quite the adventure, and we've known that coming into this edition, that this leg was going to mean so much in terms of the points, the challenge of getting through that part of the world, but also for our sailors standing up to the test. And it's amazing to hear that some of them were excited, some of them were almost giddy at the thought of getting down there and going on one long, seemingly endless blast downwind. They've been preparing for this for years, and there's always stuff to do, which is why down at the dock now it's such a flurry of activity with the boats and small tweaks to the equipment, just making sure that everything is ready. But hearing from the sailors and talking to the shore crew, probably the biggest factor of how well the Southern Ocean goes for you is what you do with your mind, how you approach that challenge of taking care of yourself, keeping the right thoughts in your head, and standing strong in the face of what is going to be one hell of a test for any sailor.